What is up, everybody? Welcome back to GTA Online, and in this video I'll be going over the Dinka Postlude, which did release yesterday on GTA Online. We obviously did miss 2 weeks before, which is kind of unfortunate, but luckily we did get the vehicle now. So funnily enough, the first thing I thought about when I saw this vehicle is it does look like a Honda Prelude. I have to admit though, this car has a lot of customization, which I will have that timestamped if you guys do want to check that out. But to be honest, I do think this car does look pretty awesome. Now, one thing I'm going to admit though, this is most likely the kind of vehicle you'd end up buying for the customization and not so much the speed, because I did notice this car is also going to be a coupe, which is most likely not going to be all that fast. But then again, I can kind of overlook that because this car does look pretty awesome once you customize it. But anyway, let's go do an outside look of this vehicle right now. Then I also want to take this car on a test drive around the city to really test out its performance. Then we definitely have to do a quick top speed test by the tunnel. So now moving over to the outside view of the new Dinky here. Now I have to admit one thing, I do think Rockstar's doing a great job with the detail of these vehicles. I mean, even the engine bay in this car looks really good. Now if you guys might have been wondering though, you can customize pretty much everything on this car, so that is pretty awesome as well. I do have the stripped down interior pretty much for racing and all that in there, which does look really good. Obviously the back of the trunk is also detailed as well, so I do like this car a lot. For me though, I didn't do anything crazy with the doors. I basically just did carbon fiber on it, which I do think looks pretty awesome. But I'm honestly really impressed with the overall detail of this. I mean, look at the engine detail on that. This thing definitely looks really cool. Now obviously this car might not be the fastest thing out there, but for overall customization and pretty much cruising around, I would say this car is going to be a great option. I did end up going with the full racing interior, which I have to admit does look pretty awesome. I honestly cannot imagine what Rockstar is going to do with GTA 6, but then again, that game's obviously years away, but wow, this car definitely looks really good. But besides that, let's go do a quick test drive around the city to really test out the Dinka's overall performance. So the first thing I did notice about this vehicle is the fact that it's going to be a front-wheel drive car, which really isn't that big of a deal. But we all know how sometimes these cars can perform kind of oddly on this game. But let's go this way here. So the acceleration for this thing being a coupe is actually pretty impressive. I was honestly thinking this car was going to be really slow, but accelerate a little bit. So it looks like the car can get up to around 100 miles an hour, so pretty decently quick for what it is. Obviously hitting bumps and all that is going to boost the car up a bit. Now, this car might be able to do around 110 with bumps, maybe 120, because obviously the handling flags on GTA can be kind of weird. But at least it does make every single car really fun to drive in the city. Like, for example, this car actually feels like it's moving really nicely, and it does feel like it's going pretty fast. Some cars really don't feel like they're moving all that well, but I would say this car is doing pretty dang good. The biggest thing I would say about this vehicle that's going to attract a lot of players to it is probably going to be the way you can customize it compared to a lot of cars we have seen recently. Now, I would say a lot of players are probably going to be more interested in customizing the vehicle than maybe having that car being super fast, which honestly I can definitely believe that. I know a lot of car guys are really not into like a ton of speed all the time. Maybe they want to customize the exterior of their vehicle more, which is still really cool seeing what people do have for builds and all that. I think that is awesome. And this Dinka is probably going to be really fun to mess around with because it has a lot of customization. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm really impressed with the overall speed of this vehicle as well. I mean, I was not thinking this car was going to be this fast, and what's kind of funny about it is this car also feels really quick as well. So I think it's going to be really fun to mess around with. So now let's head over to where the tunnel is in Sandy Shores to really test out this car's top speed on flat ground. So on my way over to the highway, guys, in the city, I managed to get this car to 120 miles an hour. So obviously the bumps were making me go a lot faster, but it was kind of impressive because I was not expecting this car to go that quick. I thought it would do like 105, maybe 110, but wow, the bumps definitely make it quicker. Now I'm sure on flat ground the car is probably not going to be able to maintain higher speeds like that, but like I said before, I don't think that's going to make a lot of players not get this car, and luckily the car is only 1.3 million if you guys don't have the trade price. I believe the trade price is like 980 something thousand dollars, which is still pretty cheap for being in GTA Online. Most of the vehicles on this game definitely cost a lot of money to get now, but on the highway over to where Sandy Shores is, I'm averaging about 110 miles an hour, which is going to be pretty dang impressive for this vehicle being a coupe, so it's a possibility. This could be one of the best new coupes in the entire game, but hopefully everybody will try this thing out. I'm sure a lot of players are going to be trying to buy like hypercars and or the fastest cars in the game, which trust me, I understand. And as long as it does take to make money on GTA, I can definitely understand why you guys want to do that, because farming millions of dollars, you're like, am I going to want to spend around 1.9 million on this? Which, by the way, with customization, this vehicle is going to be close to about $1.8 million with all that on there, which really isn't that bad, but you're also getting into a range of some of these supercars now as well, which can definitely make a lot of players go, do I really want that? So now moving over to the final top speed test with the lovely Dinka here. So I'm not going to lie guys, I'm actually really impressed with this vehicle so far. For one, I noticed the overall acceleration on this car for being a front wheel drive vehicle is going to be pretty dang impressive. I also noticed it can get to like 100 miles an hour very quickly, which I do believe is going to make this car really fun to drive around because I did notice these smaller vehicles on GTA are really fun to go insanely fast with for some odd reason, but flying down the highway right now is one thing I also noticed on the other side as well. So this vehicle is doing about 109 miles an hour, maybe 110, which is probably going to be the legit max speed of this, at least on flat ground. Now, if you were to use this vehicle in the city, you're most likely going to be going a lot faster because the car will go over the littlest bump and or the curb, boosting this car to around 120 miles an hour, which I have to admit though, is probably going to make this car really fun to use overall. But let me know what you guys think about the new Dinka Postlude in the comments below, and I'm going to show you exactly how I customize my vehicle right now to make it look exactly like this.
Think long and hard. Don't she look pretty? Looks almost as good as you. You got some machine under that bonnet. Whatever you desire. Technology and budget permitting. If you can think it, I can do it. Now that's some kind of engine. Do you need a drink? Bubbles or something? Life is hard when you can have anything. Making decisions is stressful. Looking good. That what you were looking for? that installed for you. No rush at all. Think long and hard. Whatever you desire. Technology and budget permitting. If you can think it, I can do it. Your cosmetics are on point. Girl is looking good. Bodywork to match the driver. You've got an eye for this stuff. How many cars you got in this garage again? No rush at all. Think long and hard. Should give you the right amount of bounce. Not a bad job.